Unlocking yet another mystery, the Saddelmans cut.
That's the kind of booze that they serve around here. Made a way back in top of them hills.
Welcome back to Barley and Hops. I'm George, the channel that dares to unlock the mysteries of home distilling. There are no secrets in distilling. Well, at least there shouldn't be. And yet this is a prime example of another one. You know what I always say about recipes? When someone says, this is a secret recipe and I can't share it with anyone, what are you trying to hide? Success breeds success. And that's what makes distilling so popular. Oh yeah, and makes it so easy to do in the first place, but it's so rewarding. The only challenging thing is trying to do it over and over again and produce the same results. That's why it's an art, a science, and a skill all nestled together. Let's move on with this. I've got a lot of requests, and of course I ran out as well, and since it's in such high demand, it's time to make it again. I figured, I might as well share this again. And this is the recipe for the Saddelmans cut. Now normally I do a 15-gallon batch, but I've pared this down to a 5-gallon batch. Now here's the only thing you're going to need for this, all right? Now there are variations, and I'll try to cover them as briefly as I can, but I wanted to make this short so you can get started on it. Okay, all you'll need is, this is for a 5-gallon mash. This is the Saddelmans cut. Oh yeah, by the way, that's a really smooth, elegant bourbon. And you'll notice it's a bourbon because it's more than 51% corn. We've got 5 pounds of flake corn. We've got 3 pounds of 2-row malted barley. Yes. And 5 pounds of K-row syrup. Now, these are the steps. The steps as simplified as I can get them, that you'll identify with right away. And if you get stuck on any one of them, just go back to one of our videos that it'll describe exactly how to do that. Okay, first thing is you got to cook this. Minus the K-row syrup. Let me get a marker out here. Okay, so we're going to take the flake corn and the 2-row barley, and we're going to cook it for 60 to 90 minutes at about 165 degrees Fahrenheit. What are we doing? Since we're using flake corn is already gelatinized. All right? So all we're doing now is we're doing the conversion, the starch conversion into fermentable sugars, and we're using the 2-row barley to do that with the flake corn. The follow-up video I do to this, oh, by the way, we're going to go through the math and I'll show you exactly how to figure out gravity points per pound per gallon. Oh, that's a mouthful. So we cook that 60 to 90 minutes at 165 degrees Fahrenheit. And once you get it to 165, just turn it off and let it go. Let it cool down. It's good. You're going to be perfectly fine, all right? And you're going to find out, oh yeah, oh, by the way, you're going to find out. And you'll start with about 6 gallons of water because that corn is going to soak up a lot of water, okay? You'll work your way through that one. Yeah, trust me. You're going to find out that it's going to be a porridge mash. And then after that 60 to 90 minute period, most of your conversion takes place in the first 30 to 45 minutes. We give it 90 minutes because I got other stuff to do. So you're going to find out that it's going to become real liquefied. And that's the first indication that you made full starch conversion. Or now you can go back and look at our videos and you can figure out how to use a iodine test to test the starch and sugar content. Okay, and then we sparge and rinse. Now when we sparge and rinse, 2 words mean the same thing, okay? Yeah. So when you sparge, all you're doing is now pouring cool or lukewarm water across the grains to wash out any of the fermentable sugars that are left. Recommend that for the first gallon or so, you take the last gallon or so that comes out, that you drained out, and pour that back in. And then follow it with some lukewarm water. You're trying to wash out all of those fermentable sugars that are attached and stuck, because the fermentable sugars become sticky. And they'll get, so you're going to wind up with about 85% efficiency when you're using a flake product as opposed to a full grain. With a full grain, I can get probably 93% efficiency. 85% is fine. Okay, once you've got all of that done and you've got it set aside, it's now time to add the syrup. Now, when you add in the syrup and you check your original gravity or your starting gravity, again, two terms synonymous, they mean the same thing to different people, and they use different terms, and that's fine. And that's your original gravity. You know what mine always is? Well, I know somebody out there just said, yeah, absolutely, it's 1.090. And what does 1.090 offer me? It offers me if, and see, here's where that floats. Whoa, right here. That floats at about 12% alcohol by volume potential if I'm able to ferment all the way down to 1.000, which is water. So you see, when I float my hydrometer the first time, and these are calibrated to 60 degrees Fahrenheit, so there is a, look, don't get wrapped around the axle about 1 or 2 points, okay? But if it floats at 1.090, and then after the fermentation has ceased, if it floats at 1.000, I've got just shy of 12% alcohol by volume. What's the industry standard? It depends on the distillery, anywhere from 9 to 11. 11, 12. Once you get above that 12 or 15% alcohol by volume, you're now making fuel. So I just caution you with that. Okay, of course, now we're going to cool it. We'll cool it down below 90 degrees Fahrenheit. That's all it takes. Just cool. You can cool it in many different ways. You can use ice, frozen, freeze it in a Ziploc bag and put blocks. You can just cool it or allow it to sit and cool. Of course, seal it so nothing else gets in. And then start your fermentation process. 7 to 10 days. Why do we say 7 to 10 days? Yeah, because some will finish in 5. Look, the moon, the stars, the sun, everything lines up, everything goes perfect, and it'll ferment. It'll be batshit crazy. In most cases, it's going to take anywhere between 7 to 10 days. And after 10 days, could it take 13? Yeah, it could. It could. Not normally, but it could. Does it mean anything? No, it's just slow. So once it finishes fermenting, then you clarify, you clear. Just transfer it into another container and leave the sediment behind. Allow that to clear. And once it clarifies, now you can use a couple of different things. You can use chemicals to clear it. Keosol, chitosan. There's a bunch. And that, again, are all the other videos on this process. You can actually just let it sit. If you've got a refrigerator, you can stick it in. We call that cold crashing. This time of year, you might want to just put it outside and let it sit out there for a while, as long as it's not below freezing, way below freezing. Because remember, there's alcohol in there. Oh, okay. All right. At this time, we're going to run our still. We distill it. We polish it. Polishing may be a step some of you want to skip. I have skipped it. I have done it. I tend to like it when I skip that polishing process. Run it through charcoal and filter. If you run the still judiciously and you do it correctly, polishing is not as important. If you run your still a little bit too fast, a little bit too hot, you may have some things you want to filter out of that. But if you run it judiciously, I find that I have a better, more robust flavor profile. Okay, then we cut it down to 80 proof, 40% alcohol. Once we cut it down, we're going to add glycerin. Now, I recommend you use your vegetable-based glycerin. It's much better than the animal-based glycerin. And vegetable-based glycerin is kind of uniform. You can get it at Whole Foods. You can get it on Amazon. I think you can get it at Walmart too. But it's vegetable-based glycerin. And you add 2 ounces per gallon. And now that is a starting point. If you think you taste it, you need a little bit more, add a little bit more. If you don't need that much, and you know from experience, don't use that much. What does this do? We're all familiar, with that. Oh, you made some moonshine? Let me taste that. Wow. And you get that hit on the back of your throat that just kind of makes you go, oh, that's really harsh moonshine. You want to kind of smooth that out and remove that harshness on the back of your throat. And allow your palate to absorb all it, use a little bit of glycerin. That'll smooth it right out for you. Okay, once we add that, then we're going to age it. We're going to age it for about 3 weeks. About 3 weeks. I use medium toasted oak chips. The medium toasted oak chips give me a really good color profile as well as an earthy vanilla style. And remember, there is a little bit of vanilla inside this Karo syrup, which you should start to notice come through, oh yes, in the final product, especially if you're using medium toasted oak chips. If you're using light toasted oak chips, of course your color profile is going to be lighter. Your flavor profile is going to be almost the same. If you use dark toasted oak chips, you're going to have a really dark, robust color profile, and also you're going to get a little bit more, well, you're going to get quite a bit more of that earthy tone in the flavor profile. So I like mine about midway, medium. It makes the Saddelmans cut a delicious product. And I use 2 ounces per gallon. That's a good guess. So if you're going to put it in a quart, you know, about 1/4 of an ounce. Now that's a weight ounce, and this is a fluid ounce. So keep that in mind. You know, when you're measuring out glycerin, this is 2 fluid ounces, and when you're measuring out oak chips, this is 2 weight ounces. And that should bring us, oh, of course, yeah, you know, label it, bottle it, share it, enjoy it. That's what it's all there for. My friends, this is the Saddelmans cut recipe, start to finish, step by step.
Happy
Happy distilling.